And this segment is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook and app. Number one is safe, but number two, my man Deke, it's reliable and most importantly secure, because we don't play when it comes to our money. I know you do not play when it comes to money.
I don't mess around.
Not at all. In DraftKings, they are just like you in that regard. And the thing that I also love about DraftKings is this, man. For all the first-time users out there, trust me, it's a lot of first-time users out there. We once were first-time users as well. But for all the first-time users, if you use the promo code Moats, that's MOATS, you will receive up to $1,000 in deposit bonus money. So if I were to tell you that if this is your first time doing this, all you got to do is use a promo code, you receive up to $1,000 in deposit bonus money, you would think that's a good deal, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, and it's just free money for an opportunity to win more money. That's a win-win.
And it makes your Sundays fun, or any day that football is being played.
It could be a Wednesday. You never know, right?
Exactly.
So stop wasting time. Download the app, use the promo code, and let's get an opportunity to make some money. All right, so this first one, though, is from Shiraz Muller. And what Shiraz says is, what do we think went wrong in the red zone other than the drops? So for me, that's actually a good question, too. This goes to what you were just talking about. Why the short passing attack is cool 20-20, but it doesn't work in the red zone, because short passing attack in the open field with our receivers works because as a defense, you can't play that aggressively. You have to be very mindful of the double moves. We know the stop and goes. We know how they'll take a drag and then turn it into a vertical. We've seen that with our receivers. And Baltimore is very smart. Wink Martindale is a very good defensive coordinator. He's been doing this for a long time. He understood that. So you can see how they weren't really jumping on any of the double moves, any of the eye candy stuff. They would let you throw that and they're going to tackle that, right? And they're going to make you have to execute 10, 12 play drives, right? So you can move it down 20-20. You can get all that. But once you get into the red zone and now that vertical threat isn't the same, now we saw where Baltimore played it a lot tougher. Marlon Humphreys, I mean, he was a prime example of that. When you look at the back shoulder throw to James Washington, you look at the slant to, I think it was Chase Claypool. Now, obviously, Deontay, he should have had a touchdown. He dropped it. But you could just see how much tighter they played once the field was condensed. That's the only issue. When you talk about not being able to run the ball, if you can run the ball, now those DBs still have to be very aware of the running game. The safeties have to be aware of that. Right now, in the red zone, they don't worry about the run game, and they literally just play a lot tighter coverage because now you don't have to worry about Claypool running by you. When it's only 20 yards, 10 yards, you're not running by anybody like that. You still got the back of the end line of the end zone as an extra defender. So that's why you have to be a little bit more dynamic offensively. I mean, from a statistical standpoint, you can look at the stat sheet and be like, well, man, this dude was 20 of 30 or 30 of 40. He dinked and dunked him to death. Collinsworth talked about it numerous times, how fast Ben was getting the ball out and why his quarterback rating was lower, because he's technically not throwing the ball downfield. It's more so 2 to 3 yard passes and they're moving it. That's well and good 20-20, but that's not going to equate to points without guys having to make spectacular plays in terms of you getting to 20 and a guy makes somebody miss. Like, you have to rely on that so much more. And as we saw yesterday, when you play against quality defensive backs that can tackle, most of these guys who we talked about typically struggle with tackling. Those guys yesterday, they tackle very well. They're very similar to us on defense. They tackle well. They're very fundamentally sound. When you see that, now you can see that, man, we didn't have that luxury of, he's going to make this guy miss. Even the one Ebron drop that he had, that wouldn't have been a touchdown. It
wouldn't have been a guarantee. He would have had to make a miss.
And he was 5 yards out and it was third down. But that's another part of the lack of running game. We don't have to worry about any of that. We're just solely playing small ball and keying on these receivers. That, to me, is going to be the bigger concern going forward.
I get you. Yep.
Because, you'll be able to move the ball. We can definitely move the ball like that. But when it comes to executing when the field gets condensed, that's going to be the big time struggle. We saw that even with the Chiefs a little bit. Difference was the Chiefs still have with Le'Veon Bell and
there's that
and Hilaire.
And they've been more successful at their just one play shots.
Very true.
Throughout the field. Like, a lot of their touchdowns have come from midfield.
Yes, absolutely.
I get you, dude. That's actually a really good point, because there's sometimes we're in the red zone. It's like, dude, we have like 2 or 3 yards. Like, why not at least just run it and see what happens? But dude,
every time we try to run it in the red zone, I mean, it's like a negative play almost.
Outside of that last drive or last 2 drives, we did nothing in the running game.
Absolutely, man.
I mean, the only thing we had was maybe McFarland had a little scat outside for like 4 or 5 yards or whenever we passed it to him.
Right.
I didn't really see much else. Benny Snell had a nice run or 2 here or there, but that was him making the play.
Yes, correct.
Like, he went up. There was that one play he went up to on the right side. Mm-hmm. The gap closed really quick. Then he bounced it outside.
3rd and 3.
Yeah, it looked like that was going to be like
the drive where Juju ends up scoring. If he doesn't make that play, we don't even get to the Juju touchdown.
Yeah, there's still. It goes back to the Jaguars game. Whenever Connor he had some of those nice runs. Mm-hmm. I still don't feel good. I still really don't feel good. But I don't know how you fix that then, because our offense was able to move the ball. I feel good about Ben moving the ball within the 20s, like you said, and controlling the clock, using the passes of the run game. But yeah, that could spell some trouble whenever we're talking about red zone. I don't know how you fix that.
Honestly,
it comes down to making some good plays here, there, maybe dialing up some good plays, because there were a couple drops.
We saw earlier in the season, we used more of the gimmick style runs to execute in the red zone. When we would see the reverses happening multiple times with Claypool, we would see the 4x1 sets with the screens and stuff like that, where you just try to get numbers and make a play. Right now, I feel like because they've used some of that stuff a lot early on in the season,
trying to mix it up.
Now you got to try to come up with different things, because we both said this. If we see Derek White out there on the right, on the left, Claypool on the other side, and they're condensed, we all screaming what? Reverse, reverse, reverse. It's going to be the jet sweep to Claypool. We know if we see 4 receivers lined up to one side, we're screaming what? It's going to be a screen, or they throwing the jump ball fade on the backside to Ebron. That's what they've done so much early. So now you have to figure out new ways, and that's more on Matt Canada and Randy Fichtner trying to get creative. Even though Ben calls plays at the line of scrimmage and things like that, he's not going to be able to get creative like that on the fly. Like, that takes practice. That takes us being in here. We all come up with a plan together. And that's another reason why we talked about a little bit, just when you become so one-dimensional and just allow one guy to call these plays up and down the field, it's certain things you're not going to be able to call at the line of scrimmage. It's certain things you have to huddle up. It's certain things you have to get the right personnel out there for. And that is another reason why they've struggled a little bit when it comes to some of that red zone stuff right now, man.
We'll see what happens, dude. We'll see what happens, because I really have no confidence in the run game at all right now.
It's tough right now.
I just feel like this is going to have to be the offense and what it is, which I'm good with, despite the red zone problems. Hopefully we can fix that. That's all.